Imagine a time tens of thousands of years ago. A world without hospitals, without medicines, and without the words we now use to describe diseases like Alzheimer's. Picture small groups of humans living in caves or rudimentary shelters, constantly moving in search of food, water, and safety. In this harsh prehistoric landscape, survival was the primary concern. Every day was a battle against predators, the elements, and scarcity. Yet, among these early humans, some individuals began to display signs that we would today recognize as Alzheimer's disease: confusion, memory loss, disorientation, and changes in behavior. How were they treated? How did their communities respond when a member could no longer contribute to hunting, gathering, or protection? The story of prehistoric care is one of resilience, empathy, and survival in a world far removed from modern medicine. Welcome to History TimeRift, where we journey through the shadows of the past to uncover the untold stories that shaped humanity. From ancient civilizations to mysterious events lost in time, we bring history to life one riveting tale at a time. Let's dive in. Alzheimer's disease, as we understand it today, is a progressive neurological disorder that affects memory, thinking, and behavior. In prehistoric times, of course, people did not have this terminology. They observed symptoms without the ability to diagnose them formally. If an older adult began forgetting where food was stored, failing to recognize familiar faces, or becoming disoriented during routine tasks, their tribe or clan would notice. These behaviors could be both frightening and confusing to a group that relied heavily on cooperation and shared knowledge for survival. Anthropologists suggest that early humans relied on close social bonds, meaning that care for vulnerable members of the group, including those with cognitive decline, was often a communal effort. Evidence from ancient burial sites hints at how people with age-related illnesses were treated. Some skeletons show signs of care, with older individuals or those with severe disabilities being buried with tools or provisions, suggesting they were supported until death. This implies that even in the absence of formal medicine, prehistoric humans recognized vulnerability and provided assistance. For someone with Alzheimer's-like symptoms, this care may have included guidance during daily activities, help in finding food, or even physical support during migration. Life expectancy in prehistoric times was considerably lower than it is today, but those who survived into old age often did so with the support of their community. Elderly members held valuable knowledge about seasonal changes, edible plants, hunting techniques, and danger zones. Even as cognitive abilities declined, their wisdom could still be partially preserved, and tribes may have found ways to incorporate that knowledge into communal life. Alzheimer's may have stripped away some memories, but the ability to contribute, even minimally, could still have been respected. Prehistoric humans likely did not view Alzheimer's as a medical condition but rather as part of the natural process of aging. Cognitive decline may have been explained through spiritual or supernatural beliefs. Some tribes believed that wandering thoughts or memory loss were caused by spirits or ancestral influence. Rituals or symbolic practices could have been employed in response. For example, individuals displaying memory loss might have been included in ceremonies, accompanied by chants, or surrounded by familiar objects to provide comfort and maintain a sense of identity. Anthropologists theorize that these early interventions, while not medical in the modern sense, were deeply rooted in empathy and cultural understanding. Supporting someone with Alzheimer's-like symptoms would have required a remarkable level of social cooperation. Hunters would likely have adjusted their routines to accommodate slower companions. Gatherers might have brought food to those who could no longer travel as efficiently. Physical touch, gestures, and repeated verbal cues could have served as communication strategies, helping to maintain social bonds despite cognitive decline. This communal approach highlights the adaptability of early human societies and the innate human capacity for care. Prehistoric care strategies also likely involved protection from environmental hazards. Someone who became disoriented might wander into dangerous areas, such as cliffs, rivers, or animal territories. The group would have had to monitor and safeguard these individuals, perhaps through designated caregivers or by integrating them into safer tasks within the community. This protective behavior underscores that even without knowledge of Alzheimer's, prehistoric humans intuitively recognized vulnerability and responded accordingly. Archaeological evidence provides additional insight into prehistoric approaches to care. For example, some skeletal remains show healed fractures in individuals who would have been unable to survive such injuries alone. This suggests that caregiving extended beyond cognitive issues to physical disabilities, reinforcing the idea that societies valued the lives of all members, not just the able-bodied. Extrapolating from this, it is reasonable to assume that early humans would have applied similar compassion and practical support to those with memory loss and cognitive decline. It's important to consider the role of elders within prehistoric communities. Even with Alzheimer's symptoms, older individuals may have been sources of storytelling, cultural transmission, and moral guidance. While memory lapses could interfere with certain tasks, the respect for age and accumulated experience might have led communities to continue including them in important social functions. Alzheimer's would have been understood within the context of aging rather than pathology, blending practical care with cultural reverence. The emotional aspect of caring for someone with cognitive decline cannot be underestimated. Anthropologists argue that humans have evolved empathy as a survival mechanism, fostering cooperation and group cohesion. Caring for vulnerable members, including those with Alzheimer's-like symptoms, would strengthen social bonds and enhance group survival. Early humans may have experienced frustration, sadness, or fear when witnessing memory loss in loved ones, yet these emotions would have been balanced by the drive to nurture and protect. Oral traditions may have also played a role in coping with cognitive decline. Repetition of stories, songs, and rituals could provide familiar anchors for memory-impaired individuals. For someone whose recollection was fading, the sound of a familiar song or the sight of a customary ritual object could trigger recognition and a sense of security. These techniques resemble, in many ways, modern memory care practices, highlighting that human intuition for supporting those with Alzheimer's predates formal medicine by tens of thousands of years. We can also consider diet and lifestyle. Prehistoric diets were rich in fresh plants, lean meats, and omega-3 fatty acids from fish and wild sources, which some modern research suggests could support brain health. While this would not prevent Alzheimer's entirely, it may have had a protective effect for some individuals, potentially delaying the onset of cognitive decline. Additionally, physical activity, constant social engagement, and mental stimulation through survival tasks may have supported cognitive function longer than we might assume. The spiritual and ritualistic dimensions of care likely intersected with daily life. Many early cultures attributed illness to supernatural forces, and those experiencing memory loss may have been considered touched by spirits or ancestral forces. Shamans or spiritual leaders could have provided guidance, comfort, or protective rituals. These practices, while not scientific, reinforce social inclusion and offered a framework for understanding the inexplicable changes brought by Alzheimer's-like symptoms. There is also the possibility of early forms of cognitive stimulation. Even without knowing the science, prehistoric humans engaged in storytelling, teaching younger generations, and collaborative problem-solving. Older adults with mild cognitive impairment might have been involved in these activities, using repetition and familiar routines to maintain engagement. Such interactions could reduce anxiety and confusion while fostering continued social participation. Caring for people with Alzheimer's in prehistoric times would have required ingenuity. Simple environmental adaptations, keeping familiar objects nearby, assigning trusted companions, or creating structured routines may have helped reduce disorientation. Anthropologists suggest that these approaches are echoed in modern dementia care practices, showing that humans have long intuitively developed strategies to support those with memory loss. The social implications of Alzheimer's-like conditions in prehistoric communities were significant. Memory loss could disrupt hunting strategies, food storage systems, and group coordination. However, evidence of care suggests that early humans valued social cohesion and survival over immediate productivity. Providing support to a cognitively impaired member would be a calculated investment in group stability, ensuring that knowledge, cultural practices, and social bonds were preserved. Archaeological sites in Europe and the Middle East provide glimpses into how older or disabled individuals were treated. Some remains show signs of prolonged survival despite severe physical or cognitive impairments. For instance, the discovery of an elderly Neanderthal with significant tooth loss yet long-term survival indicates that companions provided food and protection. Extrapolating from this, it is likely that early humans similarly supported those with Alzheimer's-like symptoms, ensuring they remained integrated in the community. Even in small, mobile groups, care strategies would have been adaptive. Individuals with cognitive decline may have been assigned safer, stationary roles, such as tending fires, preparing gathered plants, or supervising children. By matching capabilities to responsibilities, prehistoric societies maximized the contributions of all members while minimizing risk. This demonstrates early recognition of the need to balance inclusion with practical survival demands. The psychological impact on caregivers must also be considered. Caring for someone with Alzheimer's symptoms can be emotionally taxing, even in modern times. Prehistoric humans likely experienced similar challenges, facing stress, fear, and fatigue. However, shared caregiving responsibilities, strong communal bonds, and cultural norms emphasizing mutual support would have mitigated these pressures. The act of caring, therefore, was both a social necessity and an expression of empathy. It's fascinating to consider the parallels between prehistoric care and modern dementia practices. Techniques such as repetition, familiar routines, environmental cues, social engagement, and emotional support mirror strategies employed in contemporary Alzheimer's care. While prehistoric humans lacked scientific understanding, their intuitive approaches reflect a deep recognition of human vulnerability and the importance of social connection. Ultimately, the treatment of people with Alzheimer's-like symptoms in prehistoric times was shaped by survival, social cohesion, and empathy. They may not have had medicine or formal therapy, but they had a profound understanding of what it meant to be human. They cared, protected, and included. Their practices remind us that the essence of caregiving transcends time. It is rooted in recognition, compassion, and the understanding that every life has value, regardless of cognitive ability. As we look back across tens of thousands of years, we can see that Alzheimer's disease is not only a modern medical concern but also a deeply human experience. Prehistoric care strategies offer insight into how our ancestors adapted, supported, and maintained social bonds in the face of cognitive decline. The story of Alzheimer's in prehistoric times is ultimately a story of resilience for both the individuals affected and the communities that supported them. By studying these ancient practices, we gain perspective on the timeless nature of caregiving. From cave dwellings to modern care homes, the need to support vulnerable individuals remains constant. Prehistoric humans may not have known the name Alzheimer's, but they understood its reality and responded with remarkable empathy and resourcefulness. Their approach was holistic, combining protection, social integration, emotional support, and practical assistance, a model that resonates with modern principles of dementia care today. In the end, understanding how people with Alzheimer's were treated in prehistoric times enriches our appreciation of human adaptability, compassion, and community. It reminds us that even in the harshest conditions, humans have always found ways to care for one another. It tells a story of resilience that transcends millennia, highlighting the enduring strength of empathy, connection, and the human spirit in the face of cognitive decline. Thanks for watching History TimeRift. Like, subscribe, and comment your favorite era. We'll explore it next.